morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here today, and thanks also you to be here. I mean, for some of us it's very early, for other it's just after work. And thanks a lot for the invitation to Travel Massive Live, to Kirsty, and also to In Marketing We Trust. Thanks for the invitation and the organization of this webinar. Well, in the following minutes, I would like to talk to you on how to target Chinese tourists along their customer journey. I will present you two technological trends that we see unfolding and that are disrupting and reshaping whole industries, as well the tourism industry. These disruptions bring, among others, changes on the consumer behavior. And moreover, I would also like to introduce you some practical insights on how to connect with Chinese tourists along different, mostly digital touchpoints on the customer journey. And we'll shed some light on how Chinese tourists are developing trust and build relationships with brands, buy goods and service, find entertainment, and share their tourism experiences online. So, a little bit about me. Well, maybe you heard a little bit before when I was talking to Kerstin. I am originally from North Mexico. Not Chinese, but I've always liked Chinese community. I mean, in North Mexico, we don't have many international people, but we have a very large Chinese community. And I was always excited about the language, how it sounds. And also I was so intrigued about the culture. That's why through the years, I've always wanted to find out more about China. And I noticed that Chinese and Mexicans in business, they were like growing apart. And I thought, okay, how can we do that? These people come together, that they know and profit about each other. And with this aim in mind, I went through my life having China, Chinese business, Chinese tourists, Chinese culture in mind. And these were like my keywords during my different working stations. At the time, I'm based in Hamburg, and I offer project management and in-house consulting with a specialization in digital for China, communication strategies, and market entry strategies. In 2015, I start the Travel Massive chapter here in Hamburg. And since then, I've been in touch with Travel Massive, a community which I really love, and I really like how everything works. So thanks again for the invitation. Enough about me. I will now go on about talking to you about the customer opportunity that the Chinese outbound tourism represents to us. I mean, many of us, we are familiar with the growing of Chinese outbound tourism border crossings. I mean, this famous chart that everyone have seen sometimes. I mean, China has grown into a major economic power, and the people have developed a taste to travel to foreign countries. I mean, if we see from 2000 to 2013 has been growing almost 90%. And by 2016, the China National Tourism Board talks about 135 million boarding crossings. I mean, that's quite a number, but I think it's really important to emphasize that all these boarding crossings, they end up in Greater China, in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. For example, in 2014, 62% of these boarding crosses went to Greater China. And it's very important to look this carefully. I mean, if we talk about long haul, how much is really coming to us? No, we just cannot talk about big numbers and think that everything is we are going to profit for the whole. However, there are good news. I mean, the boarding crossings going to Greater China are going lower and lower, and that's very good for the long haul destinations, especially from Europe. Still is one of the main destinations for Chinese, and well, also US. As far as expenditure is concerned, I mean, we can see how China is also going really fast in the expenditure. The expenditure has been growing at double-digit pace since 2004, and the UNWTO estimates that in 2016 Chinese spent 220 billion US dollars abroad. I mean, this is taking Germany, for example, in 2012 from the first place as tourism consumption or a tourism expenditure. But well, Chinese tourists are not just keen on travel and to spend abroad. I think they are also fast followers of digital technology. They are really keen, and they are also leapfrogging their peers elsewhere. If you talk about digitalization and what is happening in China. In many ways, China is becoming a place where customer companies are figuring out how to prove their business and strongly contribute in reshaping the marketing landscapes. I mean, China, with everything digital and digitalization, is playing a key role in the area. And well, it's very exciting to see how Chinese customers are developing and using this technology, and they are becoming leaders in very unexpected ways. For example, in distribution, logistics, infrastructure, online, offline communication, and all these kinds of new e-commerce possibilities. So it's not, we have to know that there is not just about traveling or just about spending in tourism. It's also about what is happening in the digital world. So I would like to talk to you about a bit more about the digital snapshot in China. I think with around 731 million digital users, China is the country with the most users, internet users, and also the one with the most active ones, making 2016 the first year when most of half of the China's population went online, at least monthly. This amount of internet users, both are from fixed or mobile connections, and represent an 8% growth since last year. And well, the number of internet users has just a penetration of 53% versus, for example, Germany, which has an 89% penetration rate. As far as social media is concerned, that's 787 million figures accounts for more than the USA and Europe social media users combined. I mean, those are huge numbers like everything else in China. But beyond the user statistics, quite excited to see the key Chinese internet companies development, how they are developing and how they are competing with each other to hold market dominance. Still at the beginning of the decade, it was possible to see the clear delimitation between the companies' kingdoms we can talk about, being Alibaba strong in e-commerce, Tencent in social media networks and online games, and Baidu as the research engine and maps provider. But nowadays, if we talk about these three giants, the lines between them are pretty much blurred. I think one of the first kingdoms invasion was done by Tencent when the company added e-commerce features to the WeChat app. This was introduced with the introduction of the WeChat payment at the end of 2013. After that, Alibaba started to invest in Sina Weibo, and this is how, I mean, we could talk the whole day about the different kind of like invasions to kingdoms, but these are just a couple of examples of the intensified online competition in China and it's also necessary to keep up and to see what is happening with these big companies and what is coming new as well, and how they fight or they want to involve or innovate their traditional business and move to all kind of new mobile-based fields. So for the information before, and I would like to go to our first trend, and our first trend is definitely that China is mobile first. I mean, it's totally mobile. The use of Chinese mobile is mind-blowing. I think with 695 million active mobile internet users, close to 95% of the country use mobile device to access internet. I mean, this is a huge rate, and also it's really interesting to see that about 100,000 new internet users in China go online, or new users go online every day, and 7 out of 10 users are connected via mobile. Much of this growth has been driven by improving mobile access and also the proliferation of mobile phones. One of the reasons is, of course, the selling price of smartphones in China. I mean, you can find a very, well, a good Xiaomi or cell phone that is less than $100, and it's very good to go. It's also it's also possible to see that the people that are going online is not just young urban users, but there are also mobile netizens that are both older and more rural. And as far as internet use is concerned, Chinese are 6.5 hours online. This is above the world average of 5 hours. And well, this is mostly because of the commute hours. I mean, Chinese spend many hours commuting, and that's when they use the opportunity to go online. Our second trend is that Chinese are increasingly social. Social media usage in China is already at a very high level. The activities on social media platforms are not just about sharing and searching information, but also are about inquiring, interacting, and shopping. By the time of the three more active platforms are WeChat, Qzone, and Sina Weibo. I will just go shortly through the three of them. WeChat, for example, provides features from WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and includes also e-commerce services, something like Apple Pay. And if you go like the monthly active users at the end of 2016, it was 886 million monthly users. The second mostly used platform is Qzone, and this is something like a hybrid from Facebook and MySpace. And Sina Weibo also plays an important role in social media. And this is also something like a hybrid from Facebook and Twitter. And nowadays, well, it's picking up again because they are using some live stream possibilities. But Sina Weibo was going a little down in the number of users because it was regarded as not authentic, and there are always like so many zombie accounts. But nowadays they're picking up again with their live stream possibilities. Good. And well, social media is something really important. I think many of you have heard that word of mouth plays an important role in Chinese culture. And in fact, 95% of the Chinese netizens trust the brand if they have seen it before on social media channels. Moreover, 43% of Chinese netizens are interested in products shared by friends or social network sites, and 38% of Chinese netizens take shopping decisions based on recommendations on their social media network. So we should not neglect what is happening in social media. But before moving on, before I try to make some comparison about the social media platforms in China and the Western world, but I think in China, every platform is very unique and had their own unique features. And I think Chinese developers and web designers, they're pretty much follow this concept, the more the merrier. It's hard to think about one app that also just had one function. I mean, in China, you have to try to get the most out of something, and it's really interesting to see Western, or to talk with Western or people that are outside China, and they look at the apps, and they say, okay, it's a bit clutter, it's a bit full of things everywhere, but well, that's how it is. I mean, to get the most out of the app. And well, under this social media constellations, before I talk to you about these 3 social media platforms, WeChat, Qzone, and Sina Weibo, I think WeChat is nowadays like the rising star. I think everybody's talking about this lifestyle app, because you can do pretty much everything there. I mean, it went from a messaging app with really cute stickers, with all this kind of like smileys. And after that, it evolved to what is like Facebook kind of wall with WeChat moments, where you can post and share your stories and photos and video materials, like Facebook wall, like I told you. And well, nowadays, I mean, you can pretty much do everything. What's really going on in WeChat is WeChat payment. And now, well, if you go to China, you can pretty much pay everything with WeChat payment with a QR code. You can have your taxi paid, or you can even have your groceries. Everything can be done with your app. And well, also a really nice thing is what you share with your friends and family. Like, for example, this lucky virtual red envelopes and lucky monies, which include small money amounts and are sent among friends and family, especially in Chinese New Year, as presents. This is also possible in WeChat, and is also connected to WeChat payment and to a bank account. But well, there's a lot going on in WeChat. It's a platform where people must be if we wanted to target Chinese customers. Everybody is using it. If you think about more than 800 million active users monthly, and well, WeChat is expanding as well. Now you can also talk about WeChat advertisement here on Facebook on the wall, or the WeChat moments. That's also possible. Or where there are a lot of different opportunities for WeChat. I mean, we can discuss about different ways of using WeChat separately. And well, as I told you, one app with just one application wouldn't be enough, and it's hard to see why not. Well, that's why Chinese are pretty much in WeChat the whole day. So well, now coming to the digital customer journey, I would like to start with how Chinese get and share information along this journey. Well, Chinese travelers, especially young independent travelers, are very keen on doing homework before the trip. In the preparation phase is really important in China still. And in the digital landscapes, there are some examples of platforms they use to prepare their homework or to prepare their trip. Social media apps, like I told you, WeChat, QQ, and Sina Weibo. They also make use of vertical travel websites like QYR, Chuyong, on Mafenwo, or travel review sites like China's TripAdvisor, Daodao. Also, well, picking up strongly are the video platforms and the live stream platforms. Youku is one of the starting ones, something like the YouTube. And then Ichi is also there. And live stream is particularly used for key opinion leaders. You can see this kind of short videos or kind of short, like going live, like the Facebook live function. And well, as part of the online routines for Chinese tourists is news reading, and they can do that, for example, on iWeekly or the Jinre Tutiao. Well, as I told you, doing homework is really really something that they do in advance, and they trust a lot of the digital channels. So please do not neglect the customer's preparation phase. 56% of Chinese travelers plan their activities before, and 45% actually book it. And they are pretty keen on doing that on smartphone. Like I told you, mobile is very important. And well, not just third-party websites, but also an own Chinese website is still a key source of information for Chinese tourists. I read in a survey from Dragon Trail that they were saying that still 60% of the Chinese tourists are going to official websites to check on information on travel or tourism related service. But having a Chinese website or a website, it has to be adapted to the Chinese needs or what is common in China. Well, it's quite simple: adapt content and marketing messages. Here's an example of the Chinese website we launched for Heinemann Duty free shops. This was launched in 2016, and we tried to follow an east-west design where we can provide the possibility of interact. I mean that the Chinese could go directly to our WeChat account and our Sina Weibo account. We also follow the governmental rules. I mean, if you are planning to open a Chinese, well, to have a .cm website, you will have to do the registration and hosting in China, and you will have to go through the ICP license and verify the social media accounts. I mean, you have to play by the rules. And well, content, I mean, it's all about content. We are really strong in storytelling, and we are really strong on, well, showing the products attributes, also the label, the brand attributes, key information about custom regulations, and everything that also can be attractive for Chinese customers, like Chinese payment methods, and also, well, try to go and tell Chinese also what is Heinemann, what is the Heinemann duty-free brand about. So this was before the traveling, and still for sharing the information is also used, are also this the social media websites and live streams are also used for sharing the information after the trip. But to book a trip, Chinese are really keen on visit to, well, online travel book sites like Qunar, Elong, and Trip. I mean, these are the three big ones where you can find every kind of offer online. Or they can also go on to online travel agents, for example, Kaisa or Kaiyuan. These two are specialized for group travels to Europe. But I mean, booking does not only takes place in these travel booking websites. I mean, there are also booking possibilities on normal e-commerce sites like Taobao, or also directly from WeChat. I mean, many of the WeChat accounts or created accounts, they have the possibility of directly booking and do the payment via WeChat payment. As far as, well, still in the customer journey, once that the Chinese tourists are on the destination, on the way to the destination, I think it's really important to make them feel welcome. And well, this could be either by showing some assistance in Chinese, or having some displays or promotions, especially for Chinese tourists. In these photos, you can see what we have done for Heinemann Duty Free and the shops in Frankfurt. I mean, we have these personal shoppers that are assisting them in every kind of questions. And we also have a digital in-store assistants in Chinese, where with an iPad, they could go around and look for product information and all kind of information, also in the Chinese language. And we keep on the seasonal offers, like Chinese New Year. We try to always have special products, special assortment, and also some kind of coupons and everything possible for the Chinese to feel welcome and to celebrate with us if it's the Chinese New Year or some other special occasion for Chinese. And well, also at the destination, companies can also make use of the online-offline campaigns to engage with Chinese tourists. An example of how online-offline works in China are the QR code mania. I mean, Western countries thought that QR codes are dead and buried, but in contrast, they are very well alive in China. And Chinese professionals include nowadays QR codes on their business cards. They share information with QR codes. They have like all these campaigns, and also it's a good way to have more followers for your WeChat account. Many companies put nowadays QR codes next to it, so they can scan and afterwards get more information or also get some deals online. And well, QR codes are also used for mobile payments. In Europe, it's not very spread like in Asia, but we're slowly getting there. And well, these are the things that you can take into consideration. I mean, QR codes everywhere. That's a very cost-effective way of sharing information and get more followers to WeChat, for example. Another example of online, offline is geolocation services. For example, if a customer has signed up to a brand loyalty program or downloaded a brand app, shops can tell when they pass by, and thanks to a GPS in their phones. And as they do, the retailer can ping them with coupons or special deals. That's something also that in Asia is quite popular, in China as well. And like, for example, the online travel agency Ctrip has a program which is called Shopping Chic with Ctrip, and you immediately get some information when walking by the store and get some deals, get some coupons, get some extra for your stay or for your shop. Also, WeChat has this shake function for customers. And well, the customers can follow information. Well, they pass by the store, they can follow information through the screens and can either get some coupons or deals or come into some kind of like a game or something that makes them engage with the label. So before I gave you some general information about platforms and the customer journey and how to use them to connect with Chinese tourists, and now I would just like to show you a typical example of a customer journey for Heinemann Duty Free. So a possible customer reads an article about travel trips for Germany, and we did actually an article with a KOL sister-in-law. And in this article, I mean, the possible customer reads about trips, travel trips, tips for Europe and Germany, and hears about Heinemann for the first time. Second, it books a trip to Frankfurt on Kayuan and finds a banner and info about our Chinese website or Heinemann Chinese website. Third, it goes on the .cn website of Heinemann and follow us on the WeChat. Follow us on our WeChat account to get travel trips and learn more about current promotions. As a welcome gift, receives a discount code per WeChat and can use it on his or her next online pre-order. With these incentives, this customer pre-orders online. Then it goes on and picks up the articles at the shop in Frankfurt. And well, afterwards, it writes about the good deals made on Heinemann Duty Free and share photos of their purchases in Weibo, and talks about the skincare products that they bought. And well, afterwards, a new customer reads about this experience on Weibo as well. This is one of the normal, typical journeys for us nowadays. And well, with this, I finish my presentation. Well, as frequently mentioned, the biggest trend for marketing is the rise of mobile connectivity. It's really necessary if targeting Chinese tourists, or either go mobile or go home. The technological developments are there and help us to reach more people and to build awareness. But however, I think the fundamental of marketing continue being the same. I mean, you have to know your market preference, you have to adapt your content and also your messages accordingly. It's not just about showing how great you are, but also having storytelling, waking some emotions, and be there to engage with Chinese tourists. But moreover, having so many touch points with the customers, it's easy to lose sight where you're going. That's why it's necessary to coordinate across the marketing messages and tools and platforms, and try to get your strategy right. I mean, consistency is really a key with Chinese tourists. And well, the customer journey can help you to define where to place metrics and measure the campaign success. So I hope I pass my enthusiasm on Chinese tourism and the Chinese market, and I look forward to your questions and also to be your chatting and your friend in WeChat. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Berenice. I think you definitely passed on that enthusiasm, you know, go mobile or go home. So I think we got that message loud and clear. I hope we all did anyway. So let's open it up for questions now. I did notice that quite a few of you joined a little bit later. So if you don't already know how, you just need to raise your hand to ask a question, and then I'll unmute you. So to do that, you just need to click on the participants button at the bottom of your screen, and from there you should be able to raise your hand. So while you guys are finding that, I will ask a question myself first. So during the planning stage, or sometimes even before, if a brand is doing something really right, what's the best way to inspire travel through WeChat? So obviously, you know, with Facebook videos, they're really important now. So what's the best way for WeChat and maybe the other social networks as well?
I think for WeChat, it's really important what kind of content you have. I mean, there are so many posts going on daily. I mean, and I think content is really a key. But also, Chinese are really looking forward to something extra. If you can connect with some kind of coupon or some kind of like a game, that's also a way to engage. I mean, we noticed that almost every segment of the Chinese tourist market, they are always asking us for some kind of deal or something extra. So I think it's about content, of course, but it's also about engagement through some kind of deal. That's my experience so far.
Okay, right. So it's about those extras. It is usually in the Western world too, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like that, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have any hands up just yet. I'll give you guys a little bit more time if you're shy. So be brave, raise your hand. But I've got another question before we go. So in the after trip stage, are there any, you know, major differences between how Westerners and Chinese share their trips online with their family and friends?
I think I would say it's the interaction afterwards. I mean, well, if I talk about Germans or German travelers, I mean, they post it, but they are not constantly online talking about it. And the Chinese are posting and are really, really talking about it. There's also a big conversation going on. I mean, yeah, sharing photos and videos, this is quite the same, but what is happening afterwards, I mean, all the conversations that are going on. And also, I mean, all these links of what you do and all these details, that's also a little bit different. I mean, sometimes it's something like a blog entry where they're writing. And I think not everyone in the Western world takes so much time. I mean, they are more into talking about or talking with people when they come home, but Chinese are on real time, really writing lots of information and really detailed information.
Right, okay, thanks for that. I think we do have Kirsty now has a question. So
hi, good morning.
Go ahead.
I'm unmuted. Thank you. Good morning. Early morning from Montenegro. Hi, Berenice. Thank you first for a fantastic presentation in the early morning of Europe. And I just have one question. Don't know if you have any stats at the moment on the development of individual travelers versus group travelers from China outbound, because this is obviously relevant for all this social media and digital marketing.
Okay, by the time I finished my doctoral studies, that was like 2 years ago, we were still thinking, well, we were still, the China National Tourism Administration, they were talking about 60% travelers in groups and 40% individual travelers. But I have to say that nowadays it should be more individual group tourists. But these kind of statistics are kind of like blurred, because many of these people traveling by themselves, they also take part of groups. That's something I also check in my doctoral study.
I think we lost Berenice there.
Oh. Hello, hi.
I can hear her.
Oh, hello, hi. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so I was telling, there is the statistic nowadays should be higher in free independent travelers, because it's an evolution, and I think Chinese are enjoying also to discovering by themselves. But as I told you, many of these individual travelers are taking parts, or they are partly in groups as well when they are traveling.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm just going to unmute you now, Ian.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Berenice.
Hi.
This is Ian from Travel Massive.
Hi.
Great presentation. Thanks. I hit it. I came in a little bit late, but I just had a question about if you know much about pay per click or kind of this something similar to AdWords, but on Baidu. Whether it's easy to purchase ads on Chinese search engines.
Okay, well, that's not that easy. I mean, you definitely need an agency for something like that, because, well, first of all, you have to have this Baidu program. I mean, this has to be also approved by the government. It takes a little bit. I wouldn't do it alone. I mean, you definitely need someone there that helps you to do the verification of the Baidu account. And I mean, it's not that easy as Google AdWords. It's possible, but first of all, you have to have a Chinese website, which is .cm. That's already something with the government. And afterwards, to do that, you have to have this special program.
Right.
We did this with Heinemann Duty .cm, and I would say that it took us quite long. It's not impossible. I mean, you just have to have the right people in China.
Okay. And is the sort of the experience similar in terms of the way that you can bid on keywords? Does it work the same as Google AdWords?
I mean, it's not so clear, actually. I have to say, we're discussing with the agency that help us. It's not the same way that Google is working. It's not so transparent to say it's going to come up, or not so organic.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky, I would say.
And I guess the other question is, where else can you spend your money in terms of advertising to Chinese audiences? Can you advertise on WeChat?
WeChat is starting with the advertisement, but this is also not really established yet. We are hearing of everything, but not really used that much. What you can do in WeChat definitely is like to start with your account, and well, from there link it to your website. But also, if you really want to spend some money, I would say, well, a .cn website is a good way to start, because still many Chinese they find people through the website, and afterwards they go to WeChat. I mean, but if the budget is a little limited, well, you can start with WeChat and afterwards create a website. I think a website still continues to be an important part for the Chinese.
Excellent, thanks. I've got one other question for you, which is perhaps a little bit technical, but if you wanted to have a CN website and host it, where would be a good place to host that website? You know, knowing that, and I've been in China a few years ago, the sort of the firewall between China and the rest of the world sometimes makes websites difficult to load. Would you recommend a hosting service inside of China or in Hong Kong, or can you put your website anywhere these days?
Well, due to the loading time, I would say China is the best option. That's also what we have done with other clients. I mean, we hosted in China, and we tried to do the changes or everything in China as well, or in Germany, for example, and then we do the deployment and send it to China. But I would say it's better to do, China would be the first option. The second one could be Hong Kong. Many of the companies also do Hong Kong. And these two, they are very good with the time that they are loading the sites, because, well, that's the best way for a nice customer experience.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for your insights on that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Greetings.
Okay, thanks, Berenice, very much for that, for all your insights. So I guess it's probably time to leave it there. And thank you so much, everybody else, for joining us. We will be putting up a recording of this event shortly. And of course, new events are coming to Travel Massive Live very shortly as well. And I hope to see you all at the next one. So thanks, everyone, and see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.